The repair station Ingenuity 7 hung in space like a giant metal spider, its long docking arms stretching out to catch damaged ships that came seeking help. Through the main control room's window, Tom Miller watched the endless stream of stars, sipping his morning coffee. After 15 years as head engineer, he thought he'd seen every kind of ship damage possible. He was about to learn how wrong he was. "Boss, you need to see this." Ray's voice crackled through the station's comm system. "Biggest ship I've ever seen just dropped out of faster-than-light travel. And it looks, well, you should just come look." Tom placed his coffee mug on the desk, watching the liquid swirl in the artificial gravity. "On my way," he replied, pushing away from his comfortable chair. The walk to the observation deck took 3 minutes, during which 5 more urgent calls came through. When he reached the deck, Tom understood why. The vessel approaching their station was massive, easily 3 times the size of the largest human carrier. Its hull gleamed with an otherworldly metal that seemed to shift colors as it moved, but what caught his attention was the damage. A massive tear ran along its side, the edges crystallized, as if the metal had tried to grow new patterns. "Never seen anything like it," Maria said, standing beside him. Her dark eyes were fixed on the readings flooding her tablet. "The energy signatures are off the charts. Whatever hit them, it wasn't normal weapons fire." The ship's communication system crackled to life. A calm, melodious voice filled the observation deck. "This is Captain First Light of the merchant vessel Eternal Dawn. We seek emergency repairs. Our quantum crystalline drive suffered severe damage during a passage through an unmapped spatial anomaly." Tom leaned forward to respond. "This is Head Engineer Tom Miller of Ingenuity 7. We see your damage, Captain. Pretty serious stuff. Have you tried the Galactic Union repair stations?" There was a pause before First Light responded. "We have visited 7 repair stations operated by Class 1 civilizations. All declared the damage beyond their capability to repair. We heard stories about human repair stations, about how you solve problems others cannot." A smile tugged at Tom's lips. Humans might be considered a young species, barely accepted into the galactic community, but they had earned a reputation. Not for having the most advanced technology, far from it, but for fixing things that supposedly couldn't be fixed. "Bring her in slow, Captain. Docking Arm 4 can handle your ship's size. We'll take a look." Tom turned to his team. "Ray, Maria, get the diagnostic equipment ready. And someone wake up Jack in engineering. Tell him to bring his toolbox. The big one." The massive ship approached carefully, its crystallized wound catching starlight like a jagged diamond. Other ships docked at the station turned their sensors toward it. Tom could imagine their crews watching with curiosity. It wasn't every day they saw a Class 1 civilization's vessel seeking help from primitive humans. As the docking arm secured the Eternal Dawn, Tom studied the damage more closely. The crystallization pattern reminded him of something he'd seen in an old engineering text about stress fractures in submarine hulls. Different material, vastly different scale, but maybe the principle. "They're requesting permission to board," Maria reported. "Captain First Light and their chief engineer want to discuss the damage." "Tell them I'll meet them in conference room 2, Tom replied, already walking toward the elevator. He paused, looking back at his team. "And folks, let's show them why they were right to come here." The elevator ride gave Tom time to think. Advanced quantum crystalline technology, or not, at its core, this was still a broken ship needing repair. And if there was one thing humans understood, it was how to fix broken things, even if they had to invent new ways to do it. As the elevator doors opened, Tom straightened his worn station uniform. Time to show the galaxy again why human repair stations were becoming legendary. Sometimes the best solutions came from the most unexpected places, or as his grandfather used to say, "You don't need fancy tools to solve problems, just a good brain and stubborn determination." Conference room 2 felt smaller than usual with Captain First Light's presence. The alien stood nearly 8 feet tall, their crystalline skin catching the room's light and breaking it into tiny rainbows. Next to them, their chief engineer looked like a living statue made of smoky quartz. Tom spread the diagnostic readings across the table's display. "The good news is we can see what's wrong," he said, pointing to the damaged sections. "The bad news is it's not going to be a simple fix. 7 other stations already told us it cannot be fixed," the alien engineer said. Their voice sounded like wind chimes in a breeze. "The quantum crystalline matrix is shattered at a fundamental level. The material itself is dead." Tom rubbed his chin, studying the detailed scans. "Nothing's ever really dead until you've tried everything. Ray, what do you think?" Ray stepped closer to the display, his weathered face scrunched in concentration. "Reminds me of that time we fixed the walker's broken fusion core. Everyone said that was impossible to." He traced the crystalline pattern with his finger. "See how the break follows this line? Just like metal fatigue, but in 4 dimensions." The alien engineer made a sound like tinkling glass, their version of a scoff. "This is quantum crystalline technology. It cannot be compared to your primitive fusion cores." "Maybe that's exactly why you can't fix it," Maria said, speaking up from her corner. She'd been quiet until now, running calculations on her tablet. "You're thinking about it as advanced technology. We're looking at it as broken parts that need fixing." Tom nodded, an idea forming. "Captain, you said this happened in a spatial anomaly. What exactly did it feel like?" First Light's crystalline form shimmed with remembered concern. "Like being stretched and compressed at the same time. The ship's sensors recorded massive gravitational distortions before they failed." "Gravitational." Tom snapped his fingers. "That's it. Ray, remember that old video about deep-sea submarines? How pressure damage would crystallize the metal at extreme depths?" Ray's eyes lit up. "Yeah, and they use sonic welding to realign the crystal structure. But boss, this is way more complex than metal crystals." "Principle's the same though," Tom said, excitement building in his voice. "Maria, can you model what would happen if we used modified sonic pulses on the quantum crystalline matrix? Not to fix it directly, but to stop it from spreading." Maria's fingers flew across her tablet. "Give me a minute. I need to convert our standard repair frequencies to match their technology's resonance patterns." The alien engineer stepped forward, their crystalline form clouded with doubt. "Sonic welding. That is prehistoric technology. Our ship's hull is made of living crystal, grown in zero gravity over decades. Sometimes the old ways work best," Tom said, walking to the damaged section displayed on the screen. "Look here, see how the crystal's trying to regrow. But it can't, because the quantum structure is chaotic. What if we create a stable framework using sonic pulses? Let the crystal heal itself." "Impossible," the alien engineer stated. "The equipment needed to generate quantum-compatible sonic pulses would be enormous." "Actually," Maria interrupted, holding up her tablet, "we could modify our standard hull repair equipment. The math works. It's not elegant, but it might just work," Tom finished. He turned to Captain First Light. "Give us 48 hours to try. If it doesn't work, you're no worse off than before." First Light's crystalline form shifted colors, from doubtful purple to contemplative blue. "The cargo we carry is valuable, and time is critical. But we have heard stories about human engineers, about solutions that should not work yet do." They turned to their engineer. "We will try their way." "Excellent," Tom said, already moving toward the door. "Ray, get the sonic welders from Bay 3. Maria, I need those calculations refined. And somebody find Jack. Tell him to bring every converter he's got. We're going to need to improvise." As they left the conference room, Tom heard the alien engineer speaking quietly to First Light. "Captain, are you certain? Using such primitive methods on our quantum crystalline hull?" "Sometimes," First Light replied, their voice carrying a note of hope. The simplest solution is the one we overlook while searching for complexity. Tom smiled to himself as he headed to the repair bay. They had work to do, and he had a feeling the galaxy was about to learn another lesson about underestimating human ingenuity. The repair bay buzzed with activity as Tom's team prepared for their ambitious repair attempt. They had arranged 6 modified sonic welders in a hexagonal pattern around the damaged section of the Eternal Dawn's hull. Each welder had been connected to what Jack called his special converter, a maze of cables, power cells, and parts that looked like they came from 10 different species technologies. Chief Engineer of First Light's ship is watching us again, Ray said, adjusting the frequency on his welder. Pretty sure they think we're going to blow up their precious hull. Tom glanced at the observation window where the crystalline engineer stood, their form shifting between worried purple and anxious green colors. Let them watch. Maria, how are those calculations looking? Maria didn't look up from her 3 linked tablets. Final simulations show a 73% chance of success. Better than I expected, honestly. The quantum field should stabilize if we hit it with exactly the right frequency. And if we don't? Jack asked, tightening a connection on his converter. Then we might make the damage worse, Maria admitted. But the math is solid. These modified welders should create a resonance pattern that matches the hull's natural quantum crystalline frequency. Tom nodded, watching more alien ships arrive at nearby docking stations. Word had spread fast about their repair attempt. He could see at least 5 vessels that had diverted from their routes just to observe what the humans were planning. All right, people, Tom announced. Let's show the galaxy how we do things. Power up the converters, Jack. Jack flipped several switches, and his cobbled-together device hummed to life. The sound started low, but quickly rose to a pitch that made their teeth vibrate. The alien engineer at the window pressed closer, their crystalline form vibrating in response to the frequencies. First welder online, Ray reported. Second, third, all welders at standby power. Tom keyed his comm. Captain First Light, we're ready to begin. You might want to warn your crew. This could get a bit shaky. Understood. First Light's melodious voice replied. We are prepared. And good luck. Maria, start the sequence, Tom ordered. Maria's fingers danced across her tablets. The welder's pitch changed, becoming deeper, more resonant. The damaged section of hull began to shimmer, its crystalline structure catching the light in new ways. Quantum field is responding, Maria reported, excitement creeping into her voice. The crystal matrix is, wait, something's happening. The damaged area had begun to glow with a soft blue light. As they watched, the crystalline patterns started shifting, like ice reforming after being cracked. The alien engineer pressed both hands against the observation window, their forms cycling through colors so quickly they looked like a rainbow. It's working. Ray shouted over the welder's hum. The crystal is rebuilding itself. Don't celebrate yet, Tom cautioned, though he couldn't keep the smile from his face. Maria, how's the quantum stability? Increasing. The sonic pattern is giving the crystal structure something to build on. It's using our frequency as a template to rebuild its quantum matrix. This is amazing. Through the observation window, Tom could see more alien observers gathering. Ships from at least 3 different species had sent representatives to watch the repair. He even spotted a Galactic Union official, their environmental suit marked with the distinctive badges of the Science Council. The repair took 4 hours. 4 hours of constant adjustments, of Jack nursing his converters through power spikes, of Maria recalculating frequencies on the fly, of Ray keeping the welders aligned despite the growing strain on their modified parts. But in the end, quantum field stabilized, Maria announced, her voice tired but triumphant. Crystal integrity at 97%. Better than we hoped for. It's done. It actually worked. The alien engineer burst into the repair bay, their crystalline form glowing bright gold, a color they hadn't displayed before. Impossible, they exclaimed, but their tone carried wonder rather than disbelief. You rebuilt a quantum crystalline matrix using modified sonic welders and duct tape, Jack supplied helpfully, patting his converter. Never underestimate the basics. Tom stepped back, watching as more alien observers entered the bay, all of them talking excitedly in their various languages. He caught fragments of conversations about human ingenuity and primitive genius. "Well," he said to his team, "I think we just put human repair stations on the galactic map." News of the successful repair spread through subspace channels faster than light itself. Within hours of completing the work on the Eternal Dawn's hull, Ingenuity 7 received 15 new repair requests from ships carrying quantum crystalline technology. But Tom's attention was focused on something else entirely. "Look at this scan," Maria said, pointing to her tablet's display. The repair bay had been converted into an impromptu research center, with data screens showing readings from during the repair process. Every time we adjusted the sonic frequencies, there was this strange pattern in the quantum field. Tom leaned closer, his tired eyes widening. "That's not from our equipment. Ray, bring up the neural monitoring logs." Ray pulled up another display, showing the brain activity of the human repair team during the operation. The patterns matched perfectly with the quantum field fluctuations. "Well, I'll be damned," Tom whispered. "It wasn't just the sonic welders. It was us." Captain Firstlight entered the bay, their crystalline form glowing with a new, deep blue color that none of the humans had seen before. "You have discovered it, haven't you?" they asked, their melodious voice carrying a note of excitement. "Discovered what?" Jack asked, looking up from where he was dismantling his converters. "The reason other species could not repair our hull," Firstlight explained. "Human neural patterns operate on a frequency that naturally resonates with quantum crystalline structures. Your brains were helping to guide the repair process without you even knowing it." Maria quickly typed new calculations into her tablet. "That's why the repair worked better than our simulations predicted. Our neural activity was providing an additional stabilizing factor we hadn't accounted for." "But that's impossible," Ray protested. "We're supposed to be the primitive species here. Our brains aren't supposed to be special." "Sometimes," Firstlight said, "the most profound discoveries come from the most unexpected sources. My people grew quantum crystals but never thought to repair them. You humans, with your, what did you call it? Duct tape. You saw broken parts that needed fixing, and your minds naturally fell into sync with the quantum patterns." The repair bay's comm system crackled to life. "Ingenuity 7, this is the Galactic Union Science Vessel Observer, requesting permission to dock for detailed analysis of repair techniques." Before Tom could respond, 3 more requests came through from different alien research ships. The observation windows were crowded with representatives from various species, all trying to get a better look at the human repair team. "I think we just changed the game," Maria said quietly. Tom nodded, then turned to his team. "All right, people. Let's document everything we did. Jack, write down every crazy modification you made to those converters. Ray, we need detailed logs of the welding sequences." Maria, "Already compiling the data," she replied with a smile, "including the neural pattern readings." The next few hours were a blur of activity. More ships arrived, carrying scientists and engineers from dozens of species. Each one wanted to understand how primitive humans had managed to repair technology that their more advanced civilizations had deemed irreparable. "Tom Miller," Firstlight said, approaching him as he reviewed the growing stack of data, "my people would like to establish a permanent partnership with your repair station. We believe there is much we could learn from each other." "Partnership?" Tom raised an eyebrow. "I thought we were too primitive to work with Class 1 civilizations." Firstlight's form sparkled with what might have been amusement. "Perhaps it is time to reconsider what we mean by primitive and advanced. Your people have shown us that progress does not always follow the path we expect." Looking around the busy repair bay, at humans and aliens working side by side to understand what they had achieved, Tom couldn't help but smile. They had done more than fix a ship. They had opened a door to new possibilities, proving that sometimes the best solutions came from combining the simple with the complex, the old with the new, the primitive with the advanced. "Well," he said, "I guess we better start expanding the station. Something tells me we're going to need more repair bays." 3 days after the breakthrough, everything went wrong. Tom was in the middle of explaining human repair techniques to a group of alien engineers when the emergency alarms blared through Ingenuity 7. "Warning: quantum field destabilization detected in Repair Bay 3. The station's AI announced, its calm voice a stark contrast to the flashing red lights. Tom's heart sank. Bay 3 was where they were repairing a stellar-class merchant vessel using their newly discovered techniques. He sprinted toward the bay, the alien engineers floating or running behind him. "Maria, what happened?" he shouted into his comm unit as he ran. "The quantum field's collapsing." Maria's voice was tight with stress. "The neural interface is overloading. Ray's in there trying to stabilize it." But a deep thrumming sound cut through her words, making the station's walls vibrate. Tom burst into the observation room overlooking Bay 3 and froze. The merchant vessel's quantum crystalline hull was pulsing with angry red light, sending out waves of energy that distorted the air around it. "Everyone out." Ray's voice crackled through the comm. "The field's going critical." Through the reinforced window, Tom could see Ray still at his post, desperately working the modified sonic welders. The quantum field rippled dangerously around him. "Ray, get out of there," Tom ordered. "Can't," Ray shouted back. "If this field collapses, it'll take half the station with it. Need to stabilize it, somehow." Jack burst into the observation room, carrying what looked like a pile of junk in his arms. "Boss, I think I know what's wrong." Tom turned to him. "Talk fast." "The neural interface is too strong," Jack said, dumping his collection of parts on a console. "We're pushing too much human brainwave pattern into the quantum field. It's like trying to power a flashlight with a fusion reactor." "So we need to reduce the neural input?" Maria asked, her fingers flying over her tablets. "But we can't shut it off completely, or the repair will fail." The ship's hull sparked, sending out a wave of energy that cracked one of the bay's support struts. Ray staggered but kept working. "What if?" Tom's eyes fell on Jack's pile of parts. "What if we reverse it? Instead of pushing our patterns out, we let the quantum field sink with us naturally. Like letting a scared animal come to you instead of chasing it," Maria said, understanding lighting her face. "But we'd need to modify the interface immediately." On it, Jack grabbed his parts and started assembling something with the speed of desperate inspiration. "But I'll need to get this device into the bay." Tom looked at the pulsing quantum field, then at Ray still fighting to contain it. "I'll take it in." "Boss, no." Maria started. "Ray's keeping it stable, but he can't hold it much longer." "Jack, how long to build your device?" 2 minutes. "Maria, calculate the safest path through that field, and someone get me a radiation suit." The next few minutes were a blur of activity. The alien engineers helped where they could, their advanced sensors providing crucial data about the field's fluctuations. Jack built his device, a strange combination of neural sensors, quantum dampeners, and what looked suspiciously like parts from an old music player. "Ready," Jack announced, handing the device to Tom. "Just get it within 10 feet of the main quantum focus point and activate it. Should create a feedback loop that'll let the field stabilize naturally." Tom nodded, sealed his radiation suit, and entered the bay. The quantum field felt like static electricity against his skin, making his hair stand on end even through the suit. He could see Ray, still at the welding controls, his face strained with concentration. "Quantum cascade in 30 seconds, Maria's voice warned through his comm. Tom pushed forward, fighting against the increasing resistance of the field. The device in his hands hummed and sparked, 9 feet to the focus point. 8. 7. The field flared, nearly knocking him off his feet. Ray shouted something, but the roaring energy drowned out his words. Now or never, Tom muttered, and with one final effort, he lunged forward and slammed the activation switch on Jack's device. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the angry red light of the quantum field began to fade, shifting through colors before settling into a calm, steady blue. The threatening hum died away, replaced by a gentle resonance that seemed to match Tom's heartbeat. "It's stabilizing," Maria reported, relief clear in her voice. "The field is sensing naturally with human neural patterns. It's actually more stable than before." Tom helped Ray away from the welding controls, both of them exhausted but grinning. Through the observation window, he could see the alien engineers frantically taking notes, their various appendages moving in excitement. "Well," Ray said, leaning against him, "I guess we just prove humans can handle a crisis too." Tom laughed, the sound carrying equal parts relief and pride. Just another day at a human repair station. The news about the quantum field crisis and its resolution spread through the galaxy even faster than the initial repair success. Within a week, the space around Ingenuity 7 looked like a parking lot at a shopping mall during a holiday sale. Ships of all sizes and designs waited patiently for their turn to dock. Tom stood at his favorite observation window, drinking his morning coffee and watching a massive crystalline vessel carefully navigate between two organic tech ships. The sight would have been unimaginable just 2 weeks ago. "Message from the Galactic Council, boss," Maria called from her new workstation. After the crisis, they had expanded the control room to handle the increased traffic. "They want to send a team of their top engineers to study our methods." "Another one?" Ray asked, looking up from where he was teaching a group of alien technicians about the basics of sonic welding. "That's the third team this week." "Fourth," Jack corrected, walking in with his arms full of new parts. "The science division sent their own group yesterday. They're still in Bay 5, trying to understand how I built that quantum stabilizer." Tom smiled into his coffee cup. The quantum stabilizer, Jack's emergency creation that saved them during the crisis, had become almost legendary. Several advanced civilizations had tried to replicate it, but none could get it to work quite right. As Jack kept telling them, sometimes you need a human touch, and maybe a bit of duct tape. "Incoming transmission from the Stellar Commerce Guild," the station's AI announced. "Priority level. Urgent." "Put them through," Tom said, setting down his coffee. A holographic display flickered to life, showing a panel of various alien representatives. Their spokesman, a floating cloud of intelligent gas contained in a crystalline sphere, spoke first. Engineer Tom Miller, the alien's translated voice, filled the room. "The Guild has reviewed the recent events at your station, including the successful crisis management of a quantum field collapse. We have a proposal." Tom straightened his uniform jacket. "We're listening." "The Guild wishes to establish Ingenuity 7 as the primary training center for advanced repair techniques in this sector of the galaxy. We would provide funding for expansion and equipment, while your team would oversee the development of a new repair methodology, combining human intuition with advanced technology." The room fell silent. Even the alien technicians stopped their welding practice to listen. "That's quite an offer," Tom said carefully. "But we're just a repair station. We fix things that need fixing." The gaseous alien sphere rippled with what might have been amusement. "Precisely. You have demonstrated that the most effective solutions often come from combining different approaches. The galaxy needs this. We need this." Maria walked over to Tom's side, holding up her tablet. "Boss, look at these numbers. With Guild backing, we could triple our repair capacity. Maybe even build that experimental bay you've been dreaming about." "The one for testing weird fixes," Ray grinned. "Count me in." "Think about it," Jack added. "We could teach others how to think outside the box. Show them that sometimes the simplest solution is the best one." Tom looked around at his team, then at the waiting alien representatives. Through the window behind them, he could see more ships arriving. each one carrying beings who had traveled across the stars to learn from primitive humans. "All right," he said, "but on one condition. We keep doing things our way. No replacing human ingenuity with pure advanced tech. Sometimes you need to hit something with a wrench to make it work." The guild representatives conferred briefly, their various forms shifting and changing with their discussion. Finally, the gaseous spokesman turned back to Tom. "Agreed. The galaxy is learning that there is much wisdom in the human approach to problem solving. We look forward to learning more, even about this wrench technique you mentioned." As the transmission ended, Tom turned to his team. "Well, folks, looks like we got work to do. Ray, get those technicians certified on the welders. Maria, start drawing up plans for the expansion. Jack." "Already on it, boss," Jack called out, hurrying away. "Got some ideas for combining quantum tech with good old-fashioned human tools." Tom returned to his window, watching the growing fleet of ships waiting for human expertise. Sometimes the best way forward was to look backward, to remember that progress didn't always mean complexity. Sometimes it just meant being clever with what you had. 6 months had passed since the Eternal Dawn first limped into Ingenuity 7's repair bay. The station was barely recognizable now. What had once been a simple repair stop along a busy trade route had grown into the largest repair and teaching facility in 3 sectors of the galaxy. Tom walked through the newly completed training hub, passing windows that looked out onto 6 massive repair bays. In each one, human engineers worked alongside alien technicians, teaching and learning in equal measure. "Watch your resonance patterns," he heard Ray saying to a group of crystalline beings in Bay 2. "You can't force the quantum field to stabilize. You have to let it find its natural rhythm, like dancing with a partner." In Bay 4, Maria was leading an advanced class on neural interface theory. Her students included some of the galaxy's most respected scientists, all carefully taking notes as she explained how human brainwaves could guide quantum repairs. "The key isn't in the technology," she was saying. "It's in understanding that sometimes the simplest approach is the best one. Let the quantum field sync with your natural patterns instead of trying to control it completely." Jack had taken over Base 6, which had become known as the Innovation Lab. Today he was surrounded by eager alien engineers as he demonstrated his latest invention, a combination of quantum technology and what looked suspiciously like an old Earth radio. "See, the important thing about fixing stuff," Jack explained, holding up his device, "isn't having the fanciest tools. It's about understanding the problem and being creative with the solution." Tom smiled as he passed Captain Firstlight, who had become a regular visitor to the station. The alien captain was speaking to a group of new arrivals, their crystalline form glowing with pride. "Yes, I was the first to discover what these humans could do," Firstlight was saying. "They repaired damage that our most advanced civilizations deemed impossible, and they did it with modified sonic welders and something called duct tape." The new arrivals' forms flickered with disbelief, but their doubts would fade soon enough. Tom had seen it happen hundreds of times now. Advanced species arriving with skepticism, leaving with respect and understanding. He reached his destination, the station's new observation dome. The transparent ceiling offered a panoramic view of space and the dozens of ships waiting their turn to dock. Among them were vessels from every major civilization in the galaxy, including 3 Galactic Union science ships and a Class 1 civilization's royal yacht. Chief Engineer Miller, the station's AI, announced, "The new student group from the Central Worlds Academy has arrived. They're ready for your lecture on practical solutions in an advanced age." "On my way," Tom replied. He took a moment to look out at the stars, remembering how different things had been just 6 months ago. The lecture hall was packed with beings of all shapes, sizes, and technological levels. Some floated, some sat, some existed as patterns of light in crystalline matrices. All of them were here to learn from humans. "Welcome to Ingenuity 7. Tom began, looking out at his diverse audience. "You've all come here because you've heard stories about human repair techniques. about how we fix things that others say can't be fixed, about how we use primitive methods to solve advanced problems. He pulled out an old wrench from his pocket and held it up. This wrench is older than some of your civilization's space programs. It's simple, basic, primitive, you might say. But in the right hands, with the right knowledge and a bit of creativity, it can fix quantum drives and crystalline matrices just as well as any advanced tool. The audience murmured in surprise and interest. That's what we're going to teach you here. Not just how to use fancy technology, but how to think about problems in new ways. How to combine the old with the new, the simple with the complex. Because in the end, that's what engineering is really about. Not just fixing things, but understanding them. Looking out at the eager faces before him, Tom knew that this was just the beginning. Humanity had found its place in the galaxy not by trying to match advanced technology, but by showing that sometimes the best solutions came wrapped in simple packages. Now, he said, grinning as he pocketed the wrench, who's ready to learn how humans fix things?